Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. And for this tutorial, I had a community request to make a tutorial on how to trigger a cutscene. So let's do it. This will be pretty simple thing. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna enable our work light so we see what's going on, and we're gonna make a cutscene. So in order to do that, we're gonna go to Tools, we're gonna go to Track View, and we're gonna hit a File, New, and let's name the sequence. That's gonna be our cutscene. So I'm gonna name it Cutscene Tutorial. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to place a camera. Now you can go to components, cameras, and camera, but what I like to do is I like to use go to MISC and use this camera. You can use both, but I just like to use this one because the other one has a little bit different parameters, and yeah, I just like to use this one. So now we have a camera, and now we can go to camera, camera entity, and camera one. So now we see what the camera sees. So we're gonna hit that again, and we're gonna uncheck lock camera movement, and now we can move the camera, which is pretty cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go like over here, and I'm gonna go to track view while I have the camera selected, and I add uh, add selected entities or entity, whatever. Now I'm gonna double click on FOV, which is field of view, and I'm gonna make it 40. And I'm also gonna hit record. Now what this do is if we're gonna move the camera or rotate it, it's gonna register the rotation and the position automatically, which is pretty great. Another thing you can do is you can double click, and here we got your position and rotation, but I just like to use the record because it's just easier. So this is the beginning of the cutscene, and now let's go to the end of the cutscene, and I'm going to change the FOV to 80. And if I now change the FOV, you can see that it's affected in the editor as well. And you can really, as you drag the timeline, you can see how that progress. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over and gonna see the enemy character. So now we can take a look on how that looks. Okay, so since this is just a tutorial on how to trigger a cutscene, I'm not gonna go further than that and explain more features of the track view. But if you do want to have another tutorial simply on track view and how to make a cutscene and stuff like that, I'm happy to do it. Please do let me know in the comment section, CryEngine forums or CryEngine Discord server. So last thing that we need to do is we need to add node, and we need to add director. Now we're gonna double click in here at the beginning, and in here when it says camera, we're gonna select camera 1, which is our entity, and this basically tells the cutscene that it needs to use this camera. Now, this is really useful if you have multiple cameras. You can add another node and change this to another camera, and you can kind of switch between the cameras in here. We do have that. Now I'm gonna close that. Uh, now we're gonna go to default, which basically goes out of the camera view, and I'm gonna save it in case it'll crash. And yeah, now I'm going to create a separate entity. Let's go with empty entity, and I'm going to name this cutscene script. We'll create a flow graph. Okay, and we're gonna open the flow graph. Okay, so uh, now there's a now the node that we're gonna use is play sequence. It's an animation and it's called play sequence. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can also go to animations and I think it's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, play sequence. So you can go there as well. So there's multiple things on how we can. There's multiple ways on how we can trigger the cutscene. We can trigger it by default, or we can create a trigger. Let me go to legacy entities, trigger, proximity trigger. So yeah, I'm gonna place a trigger here, and just to make it a little bit more visible, I'm going to add some object to it. Not cube, but box. And scale it a little bit so you kind of know. Okay, if I step on this box or the surface, it's gonna trigger a cutscene. So I'm going to add the trigger to a flow graph. And another thing we can do is we can go to debug, input key, and we can and if we press I don't know, let's say O, we also want to trigger a cutscene. So those are 3 ways that you can use the most. There are also another ways that you can trigger a cutscene, but I included these 3. And I'm gonna use multiplexer. Okay, sorry about that again. I should really lower my system sounds. So if we're gonna start the game, if we're gonna enter the trigger, and if we're gonna press the input key, and also the input key needs to be enabled, and we're gonna drag this to start trigger. Now there's also a pause trigger which will pause the sequence, and there's also stop trigger which will stop the sequence, which basically means if you stop the sequence and start it again, it will start from the beginning. Whereas if you pause the sequence and start it, it will go from the time when you paused it. So that's the difference between pause and stop. And also we're gonna go to sequence, and here we got a sequence. You will have multiple sequences if you have them, and you're gonna hit OK, and that's basically it. So let's save this. We're gonna go to the engine, and now it should play the sequence. And yeah, as you can see, by default, it plays the sequence. we can go in here, and it's gonna play the this is a little bit weird, but yeah, it now plays the sequence. Or if we hit O, it also plays the sequence. So yeah, that's basically it. Those bugs that you see, there are multiple ways that you can get rid of this, but I won't cover that in this tutorial, since this is just how to trigger a cutscene tutorial. So yeah, I hope you like this tutorial. I hope it helped, and if you have any other suggestions to future tutorials, please do let me know. I love to make those and help other developers do their stuff. And I'm also gonna do a horror game series tutorial in which I will use Game SDK and make and based on that I will try to make a horror game from scratch, sort of. So yeah, that will come out soon, hopefully. But yeah, I'm trying to make those tutorials as fast as I can, but it takes some time, so please do be patient. But yeah, that's it, and see you in the next tutorial.